As exciting as it is to own a new car, many people do dread shopping for one. But there are plenty of ways to mitigate that stress and walk away with a great deal. It's true. The Focus Foundation's Skip Cowan is back with tips that should make the car buying process almost enjoyable. Good morning, Skip.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. Good to have you here. And, you know, last week we were talking to Tom over from Lexus, and we were just talking about the ideas about buying cars and, you know, different things that women deal with sometimes buying a car. And so you can give us really the financial perspective. So let's first ask you this. New or used? Please help.
Well, I think it depends on your needs.
Okay.
And you got to be realistic about what those needs are.
That's true.
I mean, do you really need leather seats? Do they really need to be heated? Do they really need to be air conditioned?
Right.
How far are you driving? All of those things are a factor.
True.
And I think that, at least for me, it makes more sense to buy used. I tend to buy a car that is one or 2 years old, low mileage, and those deals are out there.
They are out there.
You got to do the research.
Well, the thing is, would you say maybe make a list, like these are the things I absolutely have to have versus the things I kind of want to have if I can afford it?
What a great idea. I think it makes absolute sense to do that. And the way you figure that out is you go online. You go to sites like Edmunds.com, Autotrader.com, and you take a look at what the options are. And you figure it out. Do I really need this? Like a GPS, for example.
Yes.
If all you do is drive local, why do you need a GPS?
Right, and you know what? Most of our phones now have navigation as well, so it might not be necessary.
Now you got to know how to work the phone. I don't.
That too. Well, that too. Well, let me ask you this, because let's talk about the actual process of going in to buy a car. Because you know, you walk in a dealership. Is it better to already know what you want and be prepared, or should you kind of be flexible and open-minded?
Well, let me say this: if you walk into a dealership without doing your research first, then I think you fall into the chump category. And that's a category you don't want to be in. So yes, you've got to do the research first. And again, there's lots of places to do that.
Right.
I think probably one of the biggest mistakes that people make is walking into a dealership totally unprepared.
True. It's true.
And then you got to watch out what it is that you say.
Yes, and you don't want to act too excited, right? Because that's something I tend to do.
Keep in mind that buying a new car, especially any car, is an emotional event.
It really is.
I mean, it is. I mean, your emotions get involved and you see yourself behind the wheel and you're really cool with it, you know? So you walk into a dealership and you say, oh, wow, do I love that car.
I would look so good behind that Mercedes.
Oh, man, do I need this car. You're finished. It's over. You're buying a car.
Yeah, it's
and
so
you're
true.
probably going to buy more car than you need.
Exactly. But it's not even just the car. We also get that insurance surprise. So what about that?
Well, that's a big deal as well.
Yes.
And I think that has to happen, again, before you walk into a dealership. You've done your research. You figure, this is the kind of car I want. Pick up the phone, call your insurance agent, and say, what is this going to cost me every month? Because that can be a huge factor.
True. It definitely can. I mean, sometimes you get the numbers, you start calculating in your head, and then you realize, oh, I didn't even factor in insurance, I didn't factor in title licensing fees. There's so much more.
And you know what happens is that we're in the closing process as a dealer, and we find out what that insurance is going to be, and we still go through with the deal, even though it's a budget buster.
Right. And you also said when we walk in, you know, be careful about what you say, and I was saying how I act all excited, and so if you were going to give logistic tips, what should you say? What shouldn't you say?
Well, I think basically you say, this is the research that I've done. I know what you paid as a dealer for this car. I'm willing to give you a reasonable profit. So let's sit down and talk about this.
That's a good way to say it. I like
think it is. And then you got to concentrate on something else, and that is the total price of the car, Nikki, not the monthly payment.
Right.
That's where we get beat up all the time.
Good point.
A question you never want to answer from a salesperson, and I know you've been asked this.
Yes.
How much can you afford every month?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Again, you answer that question, you bought a car.
12 bucks? I don't know.
12 bucks. There's a great answer.
I mean, it's such a wide open question. And you know, you don't want to say the wrong thing, and I've been guilty of it. And especially when you're talking about financing. And so when you do talk about that financing, you get to that stage, is it better to actually go through the dealership, or is it better to go through the bank?
Again, it depends, and if you've done your research up front, you'll know what the dealer is charging. But you can shop that with your bank or your credit union. And keep this in mind. If I walk in with a credit union loan or bank loan in my back pocket, I'm a cash buyer. Can you say better deal? Yeah.
I like that.
If I'm a cash buyer, chances are I got a lot better deal going.
It does make a lot of sense. And you know what? I want to let all our viewers know where they can go for more information, because you have such great helpful tips in all areas of finance. So let's tell our viewers.
Focus Foundation, FocusOnTheFuture.tv, and in matter of fact, The episode that we currently have on, and I believe it's episode 7, it may change today, is about auto buying.
Oh, perfect.
And they really should look at that. That is really in-depth. It's done by Kirk Meyer from Chalmers Ford. Terrific guy.
Great, and it's very helpful with holiday season coming up. Indeed. Thank you so much, Skip.
Always a pleasure.
And tough economic times affect every member of the family, but your four-legged friends don't need to go hungry this holiday season. Coming up, we'll tell you all about the Holiday Pet Food Drive. Don't go away.